Huh. Well, that's definitely an interesting way to start the new year, isn't it? I'm a Sonic fan. I know I'm known as the Golden Sun guy, but Sonic games have been a part of my life ever since the beginning. I find enjoyment and value in most of these games, even the ones that I'm told not to like, and even the ones that I probably shouldn't like. As some of you know, Sonic Adventure was the very first game that I've ever played back in 1999. I mean, really, it was 1999, 2000, it was around that ballpark. Either way, I was 4 years old at the time. So seeing stuff like this blew my mind. I had never seen anything like this before. This would eventually lead me to discovering the classics and waiting with bated breath for every new release. Sonic Adventure is one of the most important games that I've ever played. I don't care how many high-profile YouTubers tell me that I'm delusional for liking this game or how I'm nostalgia blinded, or they can always ask me, well, have you played it recently, or what have you. I can look at this game, flaws and all, age and all, and even looking at this game without those rose-tinted glasses, I see a game that does exactly what it sets out to do. With the release of Super Mario 64, Nintendo just about single-handedly created the collectathon genre. As a result, we would end up with games like Banjo-Kazooie, Gex, Spyro. If you could think of your favorite collectathon, you can no doubt see Mario 64's influence. I may not like the game at all, really, but I'm not about to discredit the game or undersell its influence that it had on the industry. What Mario 64 did for the collectathon, Sonic Adventure did for the action platformer. What other games were there on the market that let you leap off of skyscrapers and run from giant killer whales, escape from massive tornadoes, chase down battleships in the sky, discover lost civilizations, raise cute little animals on the side, all with multiple playable characters, a story told through multiple perspectives, multi-layered levels, a varied and godly soundtrack, and of course, everyone's favorite, fishing. And this was Sonic Team's first crack at a 3D Sonic game. I miss when Sonic games had this kind of ambition. Sonic Adventure wasn't just a game. As the name would imply, it really was going on an adventure. And it's because of this that I've always liked Sonic over Mario. I mean, Mario's fine, don't get me wrong, but Mario games always felt like games. They're well made, but very vanilla, very basic. They get kind of boring after a while. Sonic's always been rough around the edges ever since the beginning, and I don't think that these games are made for everyone. But if you put in the time, you'll have something that's rewarding, and you'll have something that's worth replaying over and over again. As you can imagine, the fact that we seem to be inching ever so closely to an adventure remake has me both excited and concerned. I've always felt as if Sonic Adventure could use the remake treatment, and thanks to the success of the Crash and Spyro remakes, a Sonic Adventure remake doesn't seem too far out of the realms of possibility. However, given the way how Sonic has been treated by Sonic Team as of late, it does instill some worry that they can mess up the remake. I tend to be pretty apologetic towards Sonic games, I'm not gonna lie about that. People rag on Sonic Forces like 06 is going out of style, but I enjoyed playing Sonic Forces. Notice the way how I phrased that. I may like playing the game, and I do think there is a lot of fun to be had, but even I know when you compare it to the likes of Colors and Generations, the overall package feels half-baked. The game comes off as disingenuous, as if the people who are making the game really didn't want to make it. It almost feels deceptive even, especially how when the game was revealed, it says it was being made by the same team as Sonic Colors and Generations, almost saying as if we should expect the game to be as good, if not better, than the other two games. And that's not even taking into account the misleading advertisements and the fact that the team who worked on Sonic Forces was massively downsized compared to the teams who worked on Colors and Generations. There was a standard that was set, and Forces had no excuse to miss the mark, especially since it boasted that it was being made by the same team who produced games of a much higher quality. Even outside of Sonic Team, if we take a look at Team Sonic Racing and compare it to the other games Sumo Digital has made, it feels like a step down. The tracks don't look nearly as exciting or as frantic or as chaotic as they were in Transformed, and the character banter sounds like as if it was written by the team who localized Fire Emblem Fates. It's that guy. I'm pretty sure it's that guy. I'm not sure though, I wasn't there. It might seem as if it's unfair to compare Team Sonic Racing to Transformed, seeing how TSR is technically its own thing, but what I'm trying to say is that they had a standard. Transformed raised the bar, but TSR doesn't even look like as if it's trying to match the quality that Transformed had. And at the end of the day, TSR, it looks fine, it looks fun, it looks good enough. But I can't help but feel let down when I know that they can do so much better, when they've shown that they can do so much better. And do I really need to say anything about... this? Like, really? Doesn't this speak for itself? I don't want to feel embarrassed when I say that I'm a Sonic fan, but recently, the parties involved are trying to make it difficult. And I know I'm not the only one who's been feeling this way. A number of content creators here on YouTube, some of my closest friends even, share the same sentiments. We love Sonic and we don't want Sonic to die. But talking about Sonic isn't as exciting anymore, considering how this is really all that we have to look forward to. This is why the idea of a Sonic Adventure remake has me worried. Crash and Spyro especially from what I've seen, raised the bar when it comes to the quality of these kind of remakes. I feel, given the recent track record, that Sonic Adventure wouldn't even come close to that kind of quality. There are standards, and there are other games on the market that are raising the bar, but Sonic games don't even try to reach it nowadays. Even with 06, as bad as it was, had passion and ambition behind it. And sure, while something like Forces is nowhere near as bad as 06, it still felt as if the party involved believed in what they were making. And really, that's my issue. Like, we have the Sonic Boom lineup, we got Forces, Team Sonic Racing, the Sonic movie. It's been rough being a Sonic fan. And even with something like Sonic Mania, it was hard to enjoy it fully thanks to all the elitist attitudes yammering on and on about how much better this game is than those god-awful 3D games, and how Sega should feel embarrassed because they can't make a game this good even though Sega was the one who published this. It's just, I'm tired of this, you know? I'm tired of all this negative attitudes. I like Sonic games. I like Sonic. Sonic is easily one of my favorite characters. He's probably my favorite character in anything of all time. And I want to enjoy these games, and I want to talk about it with my friends, and I want to share what I like about them with you guys. Now, with all of that being said, the Sonic Adventure remake might be the thing that we need to get Sonic back on track. Even the biggest detractors of Sonic Adventure say that this game is, if nothing else, ambitious. For better or for worse, honestly, you take one look at the Sky Deck and you'll have an idea of what they mean. I don't need to run down the long list of things that there are to do in this game, but the point is that Sonic Team needed this game to be good. Sega needed this game to be good. This was the launch title of their final console. This was their first official 3D Sonic game. It couldn't be good, it had to be amazing. It needed to blow people's minds. It needed to raise the bar. You can tell me how badly the game is aged. You can tell me how this game was never good, and you can tell me about how the repeated content makes this game unbearable. Go right ahead. But at the end of the day, the proof is in the pudding. Sonic Team gave it their A-game, they aimed for the stars, they worked their asses off making the best game that they could possibly make. And at the end of the day, this game was a success. Critical acclaim across the board, over 2 million units sold, and some critics even said that this was one of the greatest games of all time. This game was a booming success, and no amount of high-profile YouTubers telling me that I'm wrong for liking the game can ever take that away. You play this game, and you can just feel the ambition. Mario would never have this awesome CG opening with rock and roll blasting out of your TV speakers. This game was Sonic. Sonic Team would even travel to different parts of South America just to be inspired. I'm not even making that up. The reason why there's such a large focus on water in this game is because they figured it would be hard to do, and that no one has ever done it before. That is what makes Sonic Adventure so special, especially nowadays. The developers did things because it would be hard, because it hadn't been done before. That is crazy dedication. Sure, the game does have its rough spots. I mean, I love the game, but even every once in a while I'll fall through the floor. It's still not as bad as Mario Sunshine, though. Like, fuck, who made that game? Bethesda? Oh no, I'm just messing around. I fucking love Mario Sunshine, but you know, that's not here or there. The Sonic Adventure remake might be the thing the Sonic Team needs to recapture that lost ambition. This can give the team a chance to see what it is that fans like me love about not just this one game, but the franchise as a whole. It would also be a good chance to look back on how certain characters were portrayed. To best explain what I mean, we're gonna play a little game of compare and contrast.
You fool. Away, before I make mincemeat out of you.
I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I can do this.
Whoa! Chaos! Sonic, help me!
I'm not going to sit here and pretend that Sonic Adventure's story is timeless and that it has no flaws, but for a mascot platformer to have this kind of interconnected story, and for the characters to go through the arcs that they went through in this game was crazy, which is why in future games, it's frustrating to see the characters that we loved regress and they forgot that everything that they learned in the previous games. While the remake can't undo the mistakes that the writers have done with the recent games, it can at the very least remind the team why we loved these characters to begin with. And of course, the main draw for these kind of remakes is not only to update the game to modern standards, but you can also fix a number of the issues that plagued the original. With Sonic Adventure, the biggest criticism is no doubt the way how the game is structured. What I mean is that in order to fight the final boss, you're going to have to sit through Big the Cat's story, no ifs, ands, or buts, whether or not it has anything to do with the final story. So, how do we fix this? The best way I could think of is to lock the final chapter behind the emblems. So in order to unlock the final story, you would need, let's just say, maybe about 40 emblems. How you get the emblems doesn't matter, so long as you have the required amount, you're clear for the final boss. For those of you not in the know, you get emblems by clearing the action stages normally, clearing the B and A missions, and fighting bosses. But you can also get the emblems by participating in minigames, raising Chow, or just by exploring the hub worlds. So with the final bosses locked behind a certain amount of emblems, you can choose how you want to get there. You can play Sonic's story and clear the B and A missions, you can explore the hub worlds, or you can play through all the characters and unlock it that way. So if there's a character or a playstyle that you don't want to play, you can avoid it. At the same time, you can still give the emblems some more worth. In the GameCube port of Sonic Adventure, you can unlock the Game Gear games for every 20 emblems that you unlock. So they can bring that back too. Or, and this one is a bit of a stretch, but bear with me, maybe you can unlock extra stages for the characters like Amy or Gamma. Another criticism that Sonic Adventure has is that some of the playable characters don't have much to do in the grand scheme of things. Namely Amy with her measly 3 action stages. Maybe if you collect enough emblems as Amy, you can unlock a version of Emerald Coast or Windy Valley that caters to her playstyle. I get that doing something like this would take a lot of effort, but it would be a good way to get more mileage out of these characters without interfering with the story. More importantly, it would give the emblems more value. Also, on the topic of Amy, if this game were to get remade, all they would have to fix with her moveset is her acceleration. I've always liked her playstyle, so I would be pretty upset if she were ever cut for any reason. So all you would have to do is just increase her acceleration and she'll be fine. Another point of contention is the repeated content. There will be many times where you have to fight the same bosses or replay the same minigames multiple times. With the bosses, why make it so when you're fighting Chaos 4, for example, he would have different attacks based on which character you're playing as. The issue with Chaos 4 is that you have to fight this guy 3 times, and every time, it's the same thing. But if you give him attacks that test the individual characters, I'd think it'd be pretty cool and would definitely help with the repetition. As for the repeated minigames, most people point to Sky Chase. Between Sonic and Tails, you have to do this game 4 times. Yeah, and that's a problem, I do agree with that. So why not have it so if you played the minigame already, you can just skip it. That way if I already cleared Sonic's story, I wouldn't be forced to play these sections as Tails, because much like Chaos 4, nothing changes between the two characters. On that note, one of the things that makes Sonic Adventure's story interesting, for me anyways, is the fact that the tone of the cutscenes will be different depending on which character you were playing as. In Sonic's story, for example, Eggman is just your typical mustache-twirling villain, but in Tails' run, Eggman is much more intimidating and aggressive. Or how in Knuckles' run, Sonic is a complete asshole, or with Amy's story, Sonic comes off as a hard-to-get kind of character. I've always felt as if that aspect of Sonic Adventure was charming. There are those who feel as if watching these cutscenes borders on tedium, given how there are still a number of cutscenes that feel the same. Given how the stories intersect, you will see them through different perspectives, but sometimes that different perspective isn't enough, which is understandable. So then the solution would be to bring back the skip feature that was brought with the DX port, and really make it obvious that these are their stories. So with Tails, make Eggman even more intimidating. With Amy, make Sonic a total tsundere. Just do more with it, have fun with it. Now with that said, this also brings into question the cutscene presentation. You know, the good old Sonic Adventure mouth animations, you can't get enough of them. Look, these days, we have games that are almost Pixar levels of quality in terms of animation. Actually, fun fact, that was one of the ideas they had with Sonic Unleashed. They wanted the cutscenes to feel like something out of a Pixar movie. And I also want to point out that Sonic Unleashed came out over 10 years ago, and at this point, we still haven't had anything that matched that kind of graphical quality. Come on, guys, what the hell happened? What I'm trying to say is that we have modern standards. That bar keeps rising. Sonic Team, or whoever's going to be in charge of this project, cannot half-ass this, especially given how story-driven this game is. With the likes of Spyro Reignited and Kingdom Hearts 3, I'm not going to settle for anything less. This game is very story-intensive, so if you want me to take it seriously, then you're going to have to up your game. We're not in 1999 anymore. The last thing that I could think of would be maybe to flesh out the Hope World some more. In Sonic Unleashed, for example, there were actual side quests that you can do with the NPCs, and even the Hope Worlds and the day stage that you go through have collectibles you can find, like music and artwork. Sonic Generations has something like this as well with the Red Rings, so if we sprinkled in some extra goodies around the hub world, it would give the player more incentive to explore, and that could even potentially flesh out the world of Sonic Adventure, making it feel more alive. Really, if we were to get this remake, the one thing I can ever really hope for is that it matches the quality of the likes of Crash and Spyro. It may sound harsh, but if it doesn't, then this is going to be a failure in my book. This is something that they can't half-ass, and frankly, I'm not going to settle for this anymore. I'm tired of games that miss the mark, and I'm tired of games that are just fine or good enough. I don't want these kind of games anymore. I want Sonic to be great. I want what the Insane Trilogy did for Crash, or what the Reignited Trilogy did for Spyro. Even more so than that, I want what Mario Odyssey did for Mario. I see all of these iconic mascot platforms getting high-quality games and remakes, so why shouldn't I expect the same from Sonic? You make a joke about how bad Sonic is, or how he was always bad. No, I'm serious here. Like, I love Sega. They make a lot of high-quality games, and if you deny that, then you really don't know what you're talking about. Do your homework, kiddo. But Sega, Sonic Team, or whoever's in charge of this, if you want me to take the face of your brand seriously, if you want me to take your mascot, your symbol, the thing that put you on the map, seriously, then you're going to have to work harder than you ever have. Granted, a Sonic Adventure remake won't magically fix everything. It can't undo what's already been done, but it'd be a good starting point. Fans have been begging Sonic Team to come back to the adventure formula for years, and they've been begging for the Chow Garden to return. So, if this remake is on the table, this would be a great way to not only give the fans what they've been asking for, but it can also be a great way to look back on your success and potentially reclaim that long-lost ambition.
1, 2, 3, 4.